Feel free to throw those on the ground if you want to. If you don't want to.
Very comfy.
This is
All right, we're live. It's on now. I know it's really hard. I'll put this down. I like to have it so I can see comments and stuff. So.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
But we're live, but this is the awkward time where we're waiting for people to join us.
Oh, okay, great.
So
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and check to make sure. You two are pros at this stuff, so I'm sure it's not.
We call it lobby time.
Yeah,
Lobby
but
time.
there's
Amongst yourself.
Yeah, okay, we're on.
How was traffic driving out here? Was
Easy.
there any traffic?
not
We're
going
going
on.
Okay, we got a bunch of people on. We got to start.
Oh, okay.
Can't we talk about traffic? Lots of people watching.
Great.
We'll have to talk later. Hey everybody, my name is Johnny. I'm a believer. I struggle with alcoholism and codependency. With me tonight.
Hi, I'm Jenny, and I'm a believer who struggles with codependency and adult child and family dysfunction.
And
Hi, I'm Anthony. I'm a grateful believer who struggles with codependency and sexual addiction.
And I'm Bonnie. I'm a grateful believer who struggles with it's been a minute, yeah. We struggle with cutting, drug addiction, eating disorders.
I'm just really glad when she looked at you, you didn't answer. I was like, it's a trap. If she says, I struggle with, and then looks at you.
It's like, which one do I pick today? Basically, is what it is.
So we are so glad to be with our friends tonight and with you all tonight. If you're just joining us, make sure you comment where you're from. And if you have any questions, we'll try to get to some, but chances are, the four of us, there won't be a lot of extra time because we do a lot of talking. But we'll see what we can get to. So Anthony and Bonnie, we're just gonna have dinner together, and then we decided, hey, it's Friday night. Let's make it Friday and have you guys come up and be on Facebook Live with us. So thanks for joining us.
Tricked you into it.
All right.
I know.
Come
We
on.
were bamboozled.
Yeah, we're like, hey, have dinner. They're like, oh yeah, sure. It's like, oh, it'd also be okay. So, but what I want to do kind of is do two things. One, kind of hear about your personal stories and how you got into Celebrate Recovery and all that kind of stuff. But then really, as pastors of your own church now that you planted, the story of that and Celebrate Recovery at your church. So, so why don't you just get us started a little bit with your story, and I'll kind of ask questions and all that kind of
Absolutely. So Celebrate Recovery, I was a pastor at a church in Los Angeles, and we were looking for a ministry in which we could dive into the issues of addiction. And at that time, there was nothing going on that we knew about within our area. And then my pastor came to me and said, hey, there's this thing called Celebrate Recovery that we want you to look into. And I was like, okay, whatever. I guess sure, why not? This is wonderful. Like, people need help.
But I was just going to say, at the time, you were just like, kind of charged with the ministry. You weren't.
Yes.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. Knew nothing about it. Felt fine. My life was good, right?
Yeah.
Doing all the things I need to do. Right? Went to a summit.
I know the latter part of your story.
Right? Oh, another Facebook Live. Went to the summit. Got introduced to Sierra at that point in time. Brought it back to our church, and it really took flight. We found so many people coming not over to New Freedom in their own hurts, habits, and hang-ups, but it actually began to change the culture within our church to just be a church that was a lot more vulnerable, a lot more transparent. Our pastor embraced it from the gate. It was his idea to get something started. And so that led to us, and me specifically at the time, we were both on staff. But Celebrate Recovery became the area of ministry that I was overseeing. She was overseeing other ministries. But when you're on staff together and you're
Had a lot of jobs.
you get a lot of jobs, and my ministry becomes her ministry becomes my ministry.
Right.
So in the process of launching CR, found that this isn't just for all of you guys who need desperate help. It was for me, and so God began to do a revolutionary transformation in my own heart. Began to bring up things that I needed to deal with. Began to do the same thing for her, and then we just knew this is our people. Yeah. This is forever family for real. And so we've been charged with making sure that Celebrate Recovery for us was not only available to us and those that we love, but also when it came to planting a church, which was another way that Jesus had a way of flipping the script on me. Had been at our church for 15 years on staff, and then it was around year 12 or 13, God began to speak to my heart about planting a church. My pastor was all about it. We went through that process. And when it came to planting a church, it was so funny.
I like how you make it sound like, oh yeah, I just was going to do it. And I can show the receipts of the texts and stuff that we had of the torment that you oh yeah, I just got God was saying I want to plant a church. Yes. Oh really? Let's read some of these things.
Yeah, there was There was a lot that went on in between the moment of getting the call, the moment of stepping out, and having people like Johnny who were in my life the whole way help me get through it.
Yeah.
We'll just kind of put it that way. But what was really interesting to me is I really see that Celebrate Recovery was one of the number one ways that God used to train us up for being pastors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we kept saying, like, if we were to ever have a church, like we want our church to have that same level of true, legit community and openness that we found in Celebrate Recovery. So it was already, when we launched, baked into the DNA of who we were. And we knew just it was like, that's our goal. Like, once we get sufficient enough to launch a CR in our church, we were going to do it. And the minute we could, we did. And so now we have Celebrate Recovery. It's about it was a year in March. That is going strong in the San Gabriel Valley, one of the only real Celebrate Recovery in our area, and has been able to provide ministry and these things for our community, which we're really excited about, proud of.
And Bonnie, when you were at the former church as well, you also, like you said, you were part of, your ministries kind of cross over, so you were part of Celebrate Recovery as well.
Yeah, so it was definitely his ministry that he started, and he really kind of he leaned into it himself. And then I started seeing changes in him that in our marriage, it's like, oh, we're good enough. And then I saw it getting better. And then I also saw the community and the team that was around him that was walking through it. And I saw also the relationship and the bond and the authenticity. And obviously I was attracted to that. And so I was like, I'm going to go volunteer in my husband's ministry just because, like, I just want to go hang out. And so I went to kind of just volunteer. And then I just never left. Because I was like, I'm going to go with my group now. I'll see you later. So it really became a personal healing in my heart, that transformed our marriage as it was being birthed in our church. And so then it became not what we do, but who we are.
Right. And I think that's so important. I think, what's funny too is that you and I both got into recovery, and then our wives were like, that sounds kind of cool.
Well, you went a little more willing than that. I think I dragged my feet a little longer.
A little bit more mess.
Maybe he didn't suggest to you that you needed it.
That might have triggered me.
I kept getting, Jenny,
I'm right here.
We're just pretending you guys aren't.
Yes. I was like, then I dug my feet in and I was like,
Also, if you hear stuff in the background like dog barking or our kids are out there playing cards together and having fun, and the dog is enjoying having everybody around, because you've got 3 kids.
Yes.
And they're triplets.
14 years old, freshmen in high school now.
Yep.
No, they just graduated 8th grade. It's not.
But they're taking
That's how I am, by the way.
I mean, that does make them freshmen.
Whatever. I'm in denial.
I'm
in denial, and I'm walking
Step
in that
one.
step.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I do not claim it. Yeah, my kids are like they're done with the grade. They're like, I'm in this grade now. And the same with ages. Like, I'm 15, so I'm 16. I'm like, wait, math is not your strong suit, is it?
Maggie does that for sure. Maggie turned like a week after she turned 15. She's like, I'm almost 16. No, you're not. Sorry.
So, and then real quickly too, you both have been to multiple summits.
Yes.
Yeah. So, this is sort of going to be a pitch for a second. Our summit this year is online.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, but even though it's going to be a little different, why don't you just share a few things that you've gotten from the summit for the people who are watching tonight, who are on the fence about whether or not.
I mean, especially if you are a church that's thinking about starting a Celebrate Recovery, the summits are like key to getting you set up, getting you equipped. You get to hear from people that are the real deal, that are not only walking it, talking it, but they're doing it, and they're leading people in it. Like, that summit has always been that one time a year where you kind of it has this family reunion feel.
Yeah,
you just come and you're like, Cousin Billy Bob, cousin
people. Tyrone.
Yeah, Tyrone, Shaquille, what's up?
Cousin Billy Bob.
Cousin Cletus. But where you get to see each other that once a year.
Maybe this wasn't a good
you get to hang with your friends, have fun, get all the information that you need to get, and those trainings and those breakouts are phenomenal, especially if you want to integrate more teams into figuring out what the whole DNA Celebrate Recovery is about, what you're doing, how to do it, the best practices, the DNA, all that stuff. It's all there. It's like a one-stop shop, and so it feels like overload if it's your first time, but it's all necessary. It's all needed.
Yeah. And so we're hoping to get back to being, I was going to say normal, but it's Celebrate Recovery. So what we're used to,
It's never normal.
Back in person again as soon as possible. But right now, this year, the summit's going to be online. So it's $49 a person. Register 5, get one free.
Come on.
CRSummits.com. We'd love for you to check that out. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye. We do this 7 nights a week.
Details. That's not my strong suit.
Being pastors at
It's
church.
okay.
It's been a long life.
They already have their tickets. Why pay attention?
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about the journey of starting Celebrate Recovery in your new church and what that's been like for that first year and all that kind of stuff. Because I think that's important for people who are thinking about Celebrate Recovery for sure.
Absolutely. So step one was we took the team that was expressing interest in starting Celebrate Recovery to the summit. So there you go. And after they came back from there, we started having those conversations about what would it look like for our church to begin to start a Celebrate Recovery. And as we were looking to launch something that we did that we found was really helpful for us, is we kind of started off with just like, let's get everybody around the table, let's have some food, let's talk about like why you are interested in this ministry, what is it, and then you get people that have experience in secular recoveries that come to the table. You have people who are just passionate about it that come to the table, people that are wanting recovery from themselves that are coming to it, and always, of course, you get those people that I don't really have a problem, but I know a friend and somebody else in the church who does that would want to come and be a part of the conversation. And in that, like, really, because of what Celebrate Recovery is and what it does, it really speaks for itself and draws people in that feel called to that. And so as we gathered the people together, then we started the training. We started with the people that saying, hey, we want to be part of our launch team of launching CR to go through a step study right away before we launched with us. And so my wife broke off with the women, I broke off with the men, and we led them through a step study that lasted about 9 months at that time.
So here's what's so cool about that is if you're brand new to Celebrate Recovery, you might not know this, but we have 7 keys of what we kind of the building blocks of a Celebrate Recovery, and one of them is senior pastor support. And for a lot of churches, what senior pastor support looks like is, hey, go ahead and have this ministry. And by the way, if that's what you have at your church, that's awesome, because you guys can attest. Pastors have a bunch of people vying for church time, the building time, the finances of the church, all that stuff. So if your pastor has said, like your pastor said at your former church when he said, go start this ministry, and then kind of walks away, that's great. That's still senior pastor support.
Absolutely.
But with, pastors going through the step study with the people who want to start it, that's so cool, because that's such a vulnerable step for the two of you to take. And I visited your church.
Yes.
And
crushed it.
What was so
crushed
fun.
it.
Before COVID.
Right?
I know. But the cool thing about that is that I spoke, and then we had the leaders of your church together. And Celebrate Recovery, although not everybody in that room had been through Celebrate Recovery or was interested in it, the DNA of recovery is all throughout your church. I just think that's so cool. So,
even the name of the church.
Yeah.
When we left, to us, just like you said, when we started church, like, this is the core values of who we are. And that's why we see the name Redeemed Life, because our lives were redeemed. Even though we were already walking, we saw so much change and growth and further for us. So it's even when people didn't even know part of our church. So when we introduced Celebrate Recovery, it was like, oh, now we see the threads. I'm like, we snuck up on you because it's already built in.
It's already built. And now we say, like, during life groups, you guys would always end with thanks for letting me share. Didn't know.
But I remember at the launch event for your church, you were talking about RLC. You have I can't remember it specifically, but you have
reach the lost, love the broken, care like Christ.
Right. I love that. I just think that's so cool, because that is such an important thing.
I'm
It's all in our church.
It's definitely in there.
I'm not that brilliant.
We just take it from there.
Right, yeah.
But I think what's so cool about that, though, is even just like you were saying, Bonnie, when somebody comes to your church and they hear that, the idea that, hey, lost and broken is right in there, and that's all of us, and one thing we often talk about is that everybody on this earth struggles with a hurt, hang up, or habit. The Bible says that all have been sinned, or all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, which means that because of someone else's sin, I've been hurt, or because of my sin, I've hurt somebody else. So even if I say, I'm not an alcoholic, or I don't have some of these things, I have pain in my life, whether I caused it or whether it was done to me, and Celebrate Recovery is such a freeing place for that. We talk about that a lot.
Yeah, I always say if you have any kind of relationship in your life, you have hurt in your life. If you know somebody, you probably have hurt in your life. You can't have a relationship without hurt. Like none of us are perfect, and so.
And what many of us see is that relational pain can be the worst pain. Right, that can be the pain that cuts deepest and hardest to heal from. And so I think, again, if you're looking for a safe place to go to find out about Celebrate Recovery, right now we're in the strange COVID-19 lockdown land, and so I would still encourage you to go to CelebrateRecovery.com. And right now what we have is CRCR, Celebrate Recovery Crisis Response online groups. We'd love for you to join one of those. And then when life gets back to normal and regular, you can find a group in your area to go to. If you're in the Azusa area, you got to check out Deep Life Church, because it's an amazing church. It's and they're doing great things. And you want to shout out your leaders for CR?
Yes, we got Mike King and Emily King. We got pastors Mark Fierro and Amanda Fierro, and the whole team, Laura Damson, who leads our worship. A great solid crew that is there week in and week out, and still. We were pivoting with you guys. So as you guys pivoted online, we looked at what you guys were doing and said, hey, we knew that during this time is no time to be like, okay, guess we can't have recovery. The time where we really need to lean in and get innovative. And so we've been able to continue doing that as well and meet with online groups during this time, which has been cool.
Yeah, and I think, again, it's not perfect, right? No group is going to be perfect, and it's not what it's very much, it's not ideal, but it's better than not having anywhere to go, and I can't wait for us to be able to get back in person. I know you guys are probably missing your church family.
At the bit. So heartache.
We threw the kids out in the back there.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Family space.
Yeah. Exactly.
Bye.
So what would you, again, though, what are some things that you would tell somebody, Bonnie, maybe you want to take this one. What's something you would tell somebody who maybe like Anthony and then later you has sort of gotten that maybe Celebrate Recovery might be for me, but I'm on the fence. I'm not sure I'm going to check it out yet. What's something you would tell somebody who's kind of trying to decide if they want to check out Celebrate Recovery for themselves?
Oh my gosh, you know what? At the end of the day, for me, it's like if you're already thinking about it and you're already searching, it's not going to hurt you to go. You can make the decision once you're there. At the end of the day, whether you're ready to deal with something, you don't know if you have to deal with something, because that's how I showed up. I didn't know I had to deal with stuff. Like I had, walked through my life and healed, as a believer, going to church, doing all that, but realizing like there was more to my life that I was still holding back on. And at the end of the day, when I showed up, it's not just, okay, I'm ready to deal with this. It was honestly just being in a place where people were sharing authentically, and then I can see myself in their story. And slowly, it's like brick by brick starts coming down, and you start building trust, and you start realizing like, oh, if anything, these are healthy relationships.
Right.
Because they're people who are actually taking a moment, taking a beat in life, which, normally we don't with our crazy lives. But right now with COVID, we're all taking kind of a forced beat at home. But it's, taking a beat and going, okay, there's more. There's more to me. There's more purpose in me. And I'm holding myself back. But how do you do that, right? And so it's having those relationships, I think, honestly, was key to me. And even those first groups that I walked in when I went to go volunteer at my husband's, like two of the women who are leading it are like my dearest best friends now. And we were just casual acquaintances before. But because we have this shared experience of walking through stuff, it's like I made the best friends in my life going through the ugliest parts of my life. And so it's like it's never too late. So also if you feel like you don't have those relationships, there's so many levels to the healing of it.
Yeah, I think that's such an important part of it. Somebody commented tonight that they love the fun that we're having together. And I do too. And I think, that's one of the things is that we do call our ministry Celebrate Recovery.
Come on.
And so there's celebration And when you first start, you might not find a lot of things to celebrate. It takes a little while.
It takes a second.
But one of the things I think is so powerful are the relationships that we form. You know? And so, and I think that's partially why this lockdown is so dangerous, is that there are people who are alone, either alone, or they're alone in a house full of people. But it's a unsafe environment, or it's an environment where they're the only one trying to follow Christ or follow through on recovery and things like that. Anthony, what are some things that you would say to somebody in that kind of a situation?
Yeah, we talk about that a lot in our church, realizing as we went into this pandemic, that some people were, as we were even embracing the term being safe at home because it was necessary, and then people coming up and saying, what happens when you're unsafe at home? Because as pastors, we've seen that. We've been on the calls, we've been on the suicide watches, we've been in helping out with people that are dealing with domestic violence issues, all those kind of things. What I love about Celebrate Recovery is always a safe place that I can send people to where they can eat. Like my wife said, take a beat, have a moment, just pause and be still. Knowing that it's not there, you're not necessarily going to get fixed.
Right.
As we say, not here to fix you. But there's an element
we're just not going to.
We're just not.
We totally could.
We're not going to. If you gave me just 10 minutes, I could fix you right up. No, but for at least.
You've been trying to fix me for 20 years. How's that going for you?
Right, not good.
Not good.
But you have people that are willing to listen, that people that are in some cases forced to listen and not speak, which is just the best thing. But one of the things that I love the most about CR is that essence of, hey, I'm feeling known, so I can actually receive love. Because I can't feel love until I'm feel fully known, and it always gets me every time I know someone's going to a next level. When I was sitting in a CR group and somebody would say, "I'm about to share something that I've never shared with anyone."
Don't you get excited when
I'm like, "Oh, it's about to celebrate! There's about to be a breakthrough!" And then you gotta keep it together, like, "Oh, yeah, okay."
Yeah, right.
And you want to be like, "Come on,
come on." Well, and I think.
I love it. I can just picture that. Like every time it broke down, someone's about to share a picture of Anthony jumping on the dancing. It's gonna be good.
Like, oh, it's gonna be so good. You don't even know. It don't feel like it right now, but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Jenny, that's something we talk a lot about is the guidelines.
Oh yeah.
And how the guidelines have impacted not just our lives in groups, but also in relationships. And so I'm not setting you up for it. She's looking at me like, where are you going?
Where are you going?
I'm gonna ask a question.
Fierce fellowship.
But I was gonna say, like with the guidelines that you love so much and you teach about so much. Why is it so important that, like what Anthony just said, when people come to our groups, we don't try to fix? Because that's one of our guidelines, that we're here to support one another, not fix one another. So why is that so important?
Because it provides safety. Especially if this is something that somebody is sharing for the very first time, you want to be able to share that and not feel that you're going to get criticized or someone's going to give feedback, because someone's very well-intentioned feedback could be so hurtful and so damaging. And so that's one of the huge things, and I'm going to talk not a lot, but I am going to talk about them at the summit this year, and how they play into the safety of our groups and why it's so important. But that's definitely something that is so important, is allowing someone to share and just get, especially like you said, if they're sharing for the first time, the most damaging thing that could happen is somebody coming up to them and saying, "Oh, let me just tell you how you can fix that." Or, it's harmful.
Can I just a little side caveat with the guideline thing that blew my mind at this last summit? You know the whole tissue box pass? I just gotta tell you, when that moment happened, I'm there with my team and we've ingrained in them, you can't hand a tissue. You just don't do that in CR. And when that shifted, like
when she brought out the big guy,
I was like, what? For years! And my whole team was like, you lied to us. I was like, no, I promise. That was
what it was. I've had people come up to me at trainings and they were like, I hear what you're saying, but we're not changing it.
So for those of you who are lost, we've got 5 guidelines in Celebrate Recovery. One is there's no crosstalk. The 4 of us would do terrible at that. But
I mean, we're not in group right now.
Yeah, exactly. We couldn't be in group because they're only gender-specific groups. But,
there's that too.
There's no crosstalk, and crosstalk is defined as when 2 or more people engage in conversation that excludes other people. It can include asking questions and things like that. And for a long time, what happened is people began adding things to the guideline. And a lot of it was just stuff that they personally didn't like, right? And so the don't pass the tissue became part of crosstalk.
Yes, they tried to say that I was interrupting people.
Yeah,
and
it's
passed a tissue. It interrupted their share.
Like you just did to me.
I was trying to give an example. I thought I did a good job.
Sometimes
you did a great job with crosstalk. But yeah, that was the heart behind it. Is that if somebody's crying and hand them a tissue, you're going to stop the flow of their thoughts. And really, if you hand them a tissue, what you stop is the flow of their tears and snot. And so I approve of handing a tissue because to me, that's just being a nice guy, right? Like especially like in a men's group. Like a men's group, if somebody's crying in a men's group, usually like...
Men are allowed to cry.
Yeah, I know, but they don't always know that, is what I'm saying. Like when men first come to Celebrate Recovery, sometimes the emotions can be buried deep. And when they finally do cry, giving them a tissue just always seemed nice to me. But it became this very sticky area and ended up being that like you couldn't pat somebody. You couldn't nod if somebody was talking, and so like because that's crosstalk, and that's actually a skill called active listening.
Yeah,
and it's showing people that you're paying attention. I'm sure there are people who are watching right now that as we're talking about it, they're nodding along.
Just having to help some people unlearn some information.
Right. But I think fixing really does cross that. I mean, one of the other guidelines is that we're here to support, not fix. Yeah, I think that's so crucial because you can be in recovery for a long time, have a lot of sobriety, and other areas of your life can still be a mess.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And so I think...
How dare you, Pat? Did you see that? Like, so passive-aggressive. This is our no crosstalk. No crosstalk.
That was blatant.
I was going to say, there wasn't much passive about that. Passive-aggressive is like I have to be able to read into it. That was just aggressive. But I think there can be well-meaning people who want to suggest a book or they want to suggest a thing to do or whatever it is. And as a leader in Celebrate Recovery, even I don't have time to read all the recovery books. And so except for The Road to Freedom.
I got a signed copy. Okay.
But so it's on to the ministry to try to vet all those books and do all that kind of stuff. And so we're just not there to fix each other. And by the way, if you could fix yourself, you wouldn't need Celebrate Recovery.
Courage!
And so if I can't fix me, I can't fix you. I might be able to give you really good advice, but and then
you're in the same room with them.
Well, and then another problem with that.
Just pointing out.
Another problem with that too is that I can't be your higher power. Right? Jesus is our higher power in Celebrate Recovery. And if I look to my sponsor or my accountability partner or my group leader as that person who is fixing me, well, what if that person relapses? Or what if that person moves or dies and goes home to Jesus? Like there's so many different things. And if I'm not careful, I can get that relationship messed up. Anthony, you're one of my accountability partners. We often text each other and just kind of, hey, pray for me about this, or here's what's going on with me. Talk about not just me as an accountability partner, but the need for accountability in this ministry to kind of help keep you solid.
Yeah, I know you're wondering, what does Johnny need accountability for? Let's just go ahead and talk about it.
Right. No. I will turn this camera off immediately. It's
one button.
Oh, man. No, I love it. Like, for me, when I'm having those moments where I know that, okay, this could turn bad and go south really quick, to have someone that's on speed dial, to have someone that you don't have to like warm up to the conversation. You can just get to like, hey, here's what's going on with me. I need help. It's that lifeline. It truly is that lifeline that I think like it is like you have to have it in order for recovery to really work.
Come here.
So sorry. Pay no attention.
Real life.
Real life. Real life.
Oh, boy.
I love it. Yeah. Those necessities. That's like, I can't see how you can do recovery without accountability.
Yeah.
It almost like can't be done. And it's actually not the way that God designed it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, we're not supposed to live in isolation. We're not supposed to do some things alone. We're supposed to be doing this together. You know, it is that confess your sins one to another so that you can be healed.
Right.
That healing aspect only comes one-on-one. And when that became a revelation for me, that's when my recovery changed. Because for a while it was just like, it's just about me and God, y'all. Like, you don't know my relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
He know everything.
Right.
Like, I confess everything up here, I'm good.
Right.
But it actually wasn't until I confessed it this way that God actually started to remove things, break down the pride, humble me, and then true freedom began to take place.
Yeah, and I think what both of you talked about, Bonnie, you talked about the important relationships, Anthony, you talking about accountability, and I think, we've had a number of people that are commenting that they're loving the laughing and the friendship and stuff here. And so I would just say, for those of you, again, I know how hard it is right now if you're home alone or if you're isolated and things like that. And so I would encourage you to reach out to someone, text them, email them, call them. I think calling is probably best. We were talking earlier about how some things can get lost in translation. So a phone call can really just clear all that up. So I'd encourage you to call. The other thing that I would really encourage you to do is to reach out to other people. Maybe you're not isolated, but maybe you know somebody who is and who's hurting. And so I'd ask you to pick up the phone and just call through people. I always know that whenever somebody gets on my heart, if I'm going around just running errands or something, and I think, I wonder how Anthony's doing, I know I ought to take my phone out and call or text and just reach out. And most of the time when I do, the person responds like, oh my gosh, I really needed somebody. I needed to talk this through or something like that. And that's the Holy Spirit prompting you, saying, hey, we're in this together, so call each other, reach out to each other. And while we are in this social distance, crazy mask-wearing world, where there's other just as important things that are trying to drive us apart happening as well, that we really make an effort to reach out. And if you're high risk, you're going to have to be a little bit more careful than others, and so take care of yourself. But one thing too, and we do need to kind of wrap our time up, is this part. We're going to hang out still. But one of the things that gosh, I kind of lost my train of thought because I was thinking about how much fun we're going to have. But I think that with all of this, building these relationships now, reaching out to each other, spending time with one another. Don't just talk about how bad things are. There's a lot of bad stuff happening. But look for things to celebrate. Look for things to encourage each other. The Bible says, rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Come on. I have to be honest with you. I have been rejoicing the last couple of weeks. I've been pretty torn up. And I know that a lot of us feel that way. And so this has been so good for me. Just to be laughing and having fun. And so I really want to encourage you, reach out to people, look for people that you can reach out to. They don't just have to be Celebrate Recovery people, by the way. You can call through, just get your phone out and just start calling folks and try to encourage each other and hold one another up. And I just think it's such an important thing to do. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Bonnie, Anthony, thanks for coming down here tonight, hanging out with us tonight. We love that.
This is great.
Again, if you're looking for a church in the Azusa area, please check out theirs. You want to throw out your website?
All right, redeemedlife.church. That's simple. Redeemed, REDEEMEDLIFE.church.
They have one of the best worship bands.
Come on!
He told me. He came home bragging.
Wow.
I know. I was like,
Pastor Larry Walker.
Yeah, I was like, you didn't get to meet Larry, and I did. And when he's famous.
He really did.
This
He's
is
like,
exactly
you're fast now and you're not.
I reached out to him later. I said, hey, where's that album? And he's like, it's working. I said, okay.
Yeah.
But so, but yeah, so if you're looking for a church to hang out, I would go there. If you're looking for information on Celebrate Recovery, go to celebraterecovery.com. Try to find a group in your area that's doing CRCR online groups. If you need help, we've got state reps. Anthony used to be a state rep.
I did. It was so great.
He quit because he was a senior pastor now, and he couldn't do everything. And so,
that was a little shady.
That's right. So shady.
And you're on my inventory, right? Not because of that, because you guys were the ones who started We Are CR.
Oh my God! I'm so sorry. I didn't know.
I didn't know it was gonna stick.
I didn't know.
Every time I go to a one day, We Are, and I just go, Anthony.
And it's always from the audience. It always starts us from the audience.
Interesting. I love it.
Maybe you need to embrace the genius.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We love you. We had so much fun tonight. Come back tomorrow night and join more people from the national team. I don't know who it's going to be anymore because I've lost track, but it's going to be amazing. We're going to be back on Monday night.
Yes.
So that's going to be really great. So join us here. Make sure you share this video, like it.
Do you want to tell them who we're going to be on Monday with?
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to spoil it.
No, I don't know.
Let's keep them in suspense.
All right.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
It's Cheryl. So anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, if you'd like, share this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, click subscribe down there. Don't forget to go crsummits.com, register for the online summit. Register 5 or more at a time. You get a 6th one free. That's all I got.
Wow, that was good.
That
just kind of rolled off.
It did it.
I'm
He's good at
professional.
that.
We love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.